So getting process booked on your calendar is one thing, but if those booked appointments either don't show up or they're not actually qualified, you're kind of wasting your time. So instead, what I'd recommend is setting up your marketing in a way that it actually pre-qualifies people. And I mean, it pushes people away that aren't the right fit and pulls in the right people that you really want to work with. So how do we do that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into with today's episode. Hey there, my friend. Welcome back to another episode on the More Than Social podcast. Super, super grateful to have you here today. I am going to nerd out a little bit on webinars, okay? Webinars, masterclass, coaching sessions, whatever it is that you want to call it. Some people would say this is a dying industry, but in my opinion, they are still crushing it with results for my clients and even for myself. So why break what's working? Instead, I say, let's tweak, let's optimize, and let's make them get better and better results as we go. Now, just so you know, I've been running online webinars since 2017 was my first one, maybe 2018. But let me tell you, they are more than just a tool. They are a game changer when it comes to getting qualified booked appointments on your calendar. Now, I actually remember when I hosted my very first webinar, it was so dang bad. Like, this is going to be embarrassing. Not going to lie to you. I threw it together in 48 hours. I promoted it organically on social media and through my email list, and that was it. Now, I was living at my parents' at the time. I had nowhere pretty or private that I could actually host this webinar, except for my bedroom. Not ideal, right? But I made it work. I made do. What I did is I turned my dresser around in my childhood bedroom, and I pretended that I was in an office. I'll pretend. I had somewhat of a plan, but essentially, I was pretty much winging it at this point. The results, though, I sold over $6,000 on that webinar. Since then, I have perfected my strategy that I use within my business and we highly rely on with our agency, with our clients. Now, I'm not sure if you've been following along on my stories on Instagram, but over the last couple of weeks, I've been sharing ads with one of our clients who is running ads for her webinar. She was getting people to register for her webinar for $1.40. And I mean, like, these are cold people. They have zero idea who she is. Now, on average, just so you're aware, people pay anywhere from $7 to $15 for a webinar lead. She spent $350 on paid ads on Facebook and Instagram. She got 500 people registered for her webinar. Again, this is not working her warm audience, not people who know her. This is all new people who have no clue who she is. Now, during the webinar, she crushed it. She delivered so much value, and she really focused on painting this picture of what is actually possible for them to solve their main pain point. At the end of the webinar, her pitch was offering a free strategy call. Now, don't stress for her. She didn't get 500 people booking right away. It's just her and her assistant. She definitely cannot handle that. But she got people booking. And really, on average, most people see a 20 to 30% show rate when it comes to online live webinars and about a 5 to 10% conversion rate. But regardless, webinars are so dang powerful, and it's one of the fastest way to get booked appointments of qualified leads who are actually going to show up to the call. So if I could give you a piece of advice, don't do what I did my very first webinar. Don't just wing it. There's a strategy that you're going to want to follow. And the number one thing that you need to do to successfully run a webinar, masterclass, coaching session, again, whatever it is that you want to call it, you've got to come up with a good topic. Once you have that, you set up all the assets, you get people to register, you remind them to show up, you create the slides, and away you go. Now, that's obviously keeping it very high level. But that's what I want to dive into today. I'm going to teach you how do you actually come up with a topic for your webinar that's one is going to get people to register, but also get them excited to actually show up. Now, I know this may seem simple, but I have seen a bad topic tank webinars altogether. So for example, from an accounting perspective, no one wants a webinar on how do you actually do your own taxes. They want to know what are the 3 simple tips to keep more money in their pocket during tax season. So see what I did there? I'm speaking to what do they actually want. Now, don't get me wrong, this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And I find it's really because they don't know what their audience wants or really might be helpful for them, or they try to go too broad. So if this is you right now, don't worry. When my clients get stuck on this, what I do with them is I really just break it down to 4 rules. Now, before I actually dive into those 4, let me just nerd out a little bit more and tell you why webinars are so dang important and why I love them. So, first, I actually think they're kind of fun. Like, no joke, I really enjoy them. Once you get through the whole build out, like setting up your funnels, your emails, your text messages, all that jazz, they can be fun, but also they can be so rewarding, especially when you know that all the automation, the tech side is just like taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. And you just got to show up and do what you love. You help people achieve XYZ, whatever that is for you. Webinars also make a fantastic lead magnet because you can generate people's contact information and position yourself as that expert and provide some serious value. People want answers to their problems. That's what they're looking for in the online world. And that's actually what we teach within webinars. We're answering questions, we're providing solutions. They want those answers to their problems, but they also want to connect with people. And it gives you this opportunity to promote yourself in real time. People got to see your face, they got to hear your voice versus just judging you behind a screen or in an email, let's just say. Now, obviously, I know when you're doing a webinar, you're actually behind the screen, but it's different when you hear someone's talking, when you've seen them teach versus just opening an email, reading someone's PDF, or seeing their stories on Instagram. Now, another huge reason why I love them is that you can actually engage with people. You can ask them questions, get them talking to you, have an actual conversation with them to get them through the webinar. You can really build some awesome relationships pretty quickly here and get really to the nitty gritty of what they actually need. So I personally try to engage with my audience throughout the webinar as much as possible, especially at the very end. I have questions and answers at the very end where, again, I'm just speaking to that specific person asking me that question. I'm helping them solve whatever it is that they're stuck on or whatever situation that they're in. But I'm also switching the script where I'm helping them realize that my offer is the solution to their problem in a non salesy way. The key to perfect webinars is ensuring that you're delivering not only the right content, but you're also speaking about the right topic. Now, like I said, typically there's 4 sets of rules when I want you to determine a webinar topic, either if it's for you, my clients, myself. And the first thing that you have to do is you want to make sure that you're choosing a topic that is actually relevant to your audience. You need to find this unique angle or this unique perspective on a topic that solves a very specific problem. And it's super fun and effective when you do it based on something that you know that you can teach or that you are actually super passionate about. And lastly, it needs to lead them right to your offer. So I'm going to break these down in much more details in just a sec. But before I do, let me just say that one of the biggest mistakes that people make, and honestly, one mistake that I actually made over and over again, is actually over delivering. When coming up with your webinar topic and the actual presentation itself, do not, and I'll say it again, do not give away every single thing that you know. Or another way that I want you to look at this, you don't want to jam your webinar so much that they get so much information that they don't feel like they actually need you anymore, which is kind of getting into the tips, but your webinar content has to lead to that offer that you want them to purchase on the back end. That's why we're essentially doing it. We're all business owners here. So before I get off topic and jump right into number 4, let me back up a bit and make sure that I hit on all 4 rules, okay? So the very first one that I want you to pay attention to is making sure that you choose a topic that is actually relevant to your audience and relevant to your offer. Now, this one may seem so obvious as I'm saying it out loud, but you would actually be surprised how many people choose a topic that their audience literally either cares nothing about or they know nothing about it. If your offer is how do you actually make sourdough bread and all of a sudden you're doing a webinar on how to build a feature wall in your bedroom, you're way off topic. Even though, yeah, you may have built a beautiful feature wall and some may ask you about it, but what's that back end offer for you? You're really steering away from what your audience is looking at you as that expert as. So before you even think about your webinar topic, I want you to do one thing, okay? I want you to imagine that you just stepped into your dream client's shoes. You know, I can go on and on about how super clear you need to be about who you're talking to, but the key is to make sure that you really understand what do they care about? And even more important, what is that one particular problem that they are facing right now that you know that you can help them solve? And it's a one problem that they have to solve now before they can move on to your offer. So that takes me to number 2. If you know one problem your audience has right now, and you know that you can help them find a way out of that problem, that right there is a key indicator that you have a great webinar topic brewing in your mind. Now, I'm saying one problem, and I'm really emphasizing that to you right now because I know all of our audiences has a million problems that we can help them solve. But remember, you don't want to give away everything and help them solve every problem at one sitting. You simply want to choose one problem that your audience has right now, and of course, something that they care enough about, and they're actually looking for the solution. And you want to be that voice behind that solution. And finding unique angles or perspectives on that problem, that's going to be the key. So think right now, how can you take your audience from where they are right now to where they actually want to be? We live in this world where information is literally in our fingertips. If it's on TV, if it's on blogs, YouTube, videos, podcasts, social media content, like we can find information literally anywhere. So when you are trying to come up with your specific webinar topic, the key is to position it in a way that is actually intriguing. It's your solution, it's your offer, but at the same time, it's also giving them a new perspective that they can't just Google. So always ask yourself, why would they want this? How can this actually help them? And honestly, even throughout your entire webinar, you should be answering that one question that your audience is going to be asking themselves throughout the entire presentation. Like, how is this actually going to help me? How is this going to help me solve XYZ? If you can answer that in your webinar, plus throughout the entire webinar topic, you're going to be golden. Now, of course, to deliver a practical webinar, which directly impacts the webinar topic that you're going to be delivering and even the results that you get, I feel so dang weird saying this, but you have to know what you're talking about, okay? So when you are live and you're actually presenting and people are asking you questions, it will be a serious dead giveaway that you have no idea what you're talking about if you're just kind of making this up as you go. Okay. And I've seen it happen firsthand. If you're fumbling and you're really just trying to come up with the answer and saying, well, people can feel it in their gut if you're not actually knowledgeable on the topic that you're teaching, let alone it's not good practice to get into. So please avoid teaching things that you don't know about. Like, just be true to you, be true to your knowledge. You don't want to deliver a topic that is not your expertise just to get a sale. The people coming will trust you, or at least they're hopefully going to trust that you are going to be able to solve the problem that you're promising to solve on this particular webinar. If it doesn't work, they're going to remember it. And I'll say it, it may hurt you. So if you can choose a topic that you are seriously passionate about, that will also come across. Okay. Like when I talk about marketing, people are like, oh, how do you like marketing so much? And they can just hear it in my voice. So I know I said I'm going to nerd out on you today, but yeah, I do love marketing stuff. Now, I am honestly told way too many times that when I'm talking about marketing, I'm smiling and people think I'm crazy. I'm literally smiling ear to ear because I actually think this stuff is fun. And I'm not expecting you to think this is all fun. I think the sales funnel, leads, emails, all this stuff is fun. But really, when I think about it, I actually love helping people. And I think that is what is so fascinating about the online world for me. It can be so life-changing for entrepreneurs. And people can literally hear that in my voice. They can see that in my face. I love talking about this stuff. I love nerding out on this stuff. So why am I sharing that? I'm sharing it because I want you to do the same on your webinar. If you can find something that you're passionate about that is helping them solve a problem, that alone is going to make a huge difference in the conversion that you have on the back end once your webinar is actually completed. So make sure to choose a topic that is something that you know about. And I'm not sharing the full story, but there's a story behind that. We can get into it another day. And something that you genuinely enjoy talking about. Plus, it will make actually delivering the webinar so much fun for you because if you like what you're doing, you will do it all day long. Now, not to mention, if you know what you're teaching and you teach it well, you're going to show up as this expert differently than if you don't know what you're talking about. And before you know it, they're going to be coming to you with another problem asking for your solution. And you know what that means? It's kind of like this big snowball effect at that point. It means more business for you. It means more referrals, more revenue, more and more, let's just say, of the good stuff for your business growth. And the last rule that I have for you, and I've already kind of let it slip up and we've kind of briefly talked about it, but make sure that it easily leads them into your offer, okay? It needs to easily lead them into that offer at the end of the webinar. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to finish with a pitch. The easiest way that I could explain this is you want your webinar to really just paint this picture of what is possible, teach them high level what they could do to solve their pain point. But you got to get them thinking, well, how do I actually do this? How do I actually implement this? How do I make the funnels? How do I do this? Your offer is the how. So, for example, I can do a webinar on full marketing strategies telling you different ways that you can generate leads online, but I'm not walking you through how to set up the funnels that I would use. I'm not walking you through how to place an ad. You'd want to join the spotlight theory if you want to learn that aspect. So, see what I mean here? See how it all kind of flows? Now, before you go, I'm going to give you a few examples of topics that I personally might use for some of my offers. For example, one of the courses that I have is around teaching people how to actually generate leads on autopilot. So this is the spotlight theory. So I may have a webinar topic all around 5 things that you need to do to make your sales funnels work on autopilot. Now I'm teaching them about sales funnels and the key components that they need to make to really make it work. Naturally, if I have a course or a program around that same offer, it's very easy for me to talk about that at that end because the people who are on the webinar, they wanted to learn how do you use sales funnels, how do you use automations to grow their business. I gave them, yes, lots of value. They can go and implement some of the things that they want to, but I'm not showing them how. But I know that my offer can help them even further get better results. Or more broad example, for sake of example, let's say you have a membership program and you want to do a webinar on how do you build a community to grow your business. The key here is to look at the offer that you have and you actually want to work backwards to determine what is one topic that you can really pull out from that offer that your audience cares about. And you can elaborate it on your webinar, but again, not give everything away. The goal is to make sure that your audience leaves your webinars with practical tips and actionable advice, but not to give away so much that they don't actually need to invest in your program, in your service, in whatever it is that your offer is. Now, as an expert in your field, you'll find that balance. Trust me, you will. But let me remind you, these are super powerful. You can do it live, you can automate it. But what I would recommend is show up live first. And once you have a webinar that you know converts well, then put it on demand. And what I mean by on demand is people can just sign up at any point and watch it anytime they want. They don't have to wait until the specific date and time. Now, that is how you're going to scale. It's really cool to see how it all works. So we can definitely get into the scaling conversation a little bit later. But first, I want you to choose your topic and I want you to start implementing webinars into your business. And let's book out your calendar of pre-qualified people. Anyways, my friend, thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time out of your busy schedule to nerd out with me on getting higher quality booked appointments through webinars. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, please be sure to subscribe to the More Than Social podcast. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts if you don't mind. I love hearing from you. And don't forget to check out the show notes for any additional resources and any information on today's topic. I have a full webinar structure down there for you. So make sure to download it, implement it for your webinar. But until then, I will see you next week. Same time, same place. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.